Hey everybody, Charles for HumbleMechanic.com, back today with episode 57 of the Humble Mechanic Podcast. And today we're going to be talking about shop safety. Alright, so this episode comes largely based on some events that happened last week in the shop. We have a technician with about a year and a half worth of experience that had an incident. It's actually the second time this has happened at my shop. And it really got my mind focused on some things that I don't normally worry about inside the shop. You know, you think of shop safety and we think cuts on our hands, a slip and fall, you know, getting brake clean in your eye, and all of those are really bad things, and I think I've actually had every single one of them happen to me. There's actually a lot more things that are really dangerous that we don't think about day to day until an event like this happens and it kind of slaps you back into reality. So what happened was we had a tech in on his day off working on an Infiniti, and he was doing a brake job. Now, I know that the night before he actually pulled the rotors off and removed the calipers to do the brake job. I think he actually resurfaced the rotors while doing this brake job. So the vehicle sat overnight and the brake pads came the next day. You know, we'll get brake pads from maybe CarQuest, or they may have gotten them from Infiniti for this car because it was a used car. So he puts the brake pads on. This guy also was whipping cars in and out of the shop, you know, trying to do a bunch of cars on his day off, which is not something I necessarily have a problem with. But I walked into the parts department and oddly enough was having a conversation about the difficulty for finding good employees with one of the parts guys. And we hear this really loud crash. It sounded like if you had an entire tray of tools and then someone smacked them onto the floor and they went everywhere. So that was the sound that it made. So I kind of run out into the shop and look, and I see a car on the lift way closer to the wall than it should be. So I walk over to see that this technician had driven a car into a roll cart. The roll cart got pushed into the toolbox, and then the toolbox got pushed into the wall. The bad part about it is a lot of things. One, the car got damaged. But honestly, the worst part about it was that the toolbox was damaged. No one was hurt, which we're really thankful for. But like I said, it really did kick me into that super high gear safety mode. So the full story that I got later was he did a brake job. He forgot to pump the brakes to push the calipers back up against the pad, which pushes the pad up against the rotor. When he went to back up and push the brake pedal in, the pedal sank to the floor and he jammed it in drive, and the car basically launched forward into the toolbox. And sadly, the toolbox and roll cart that he hit was not his toolbox and roll cart. So I walk over, I look, again, everybody's okay. He backs the car away from the roll cart. We see the roll cart smashed in. We see some damage to the toolbox drawers. The toolbox looks okay, but the roll cart, as you can see here, is clearly damaged. Actually, if you look really close, you can see that the only reason this arm isn't pushed in further is it's resting on his snap-on breaker bar. So sort of after the dust settles is when this all really starts to hit me. He launched forward unexpectedly. What if the guy next to him was walking through that bay? You know, what if somebody was standing there talking to him before he pulled that car out and they just happened to be, I don't know, looking at a tool catalog at this guy's toolbox? What would have happened if, I don't know, name it, you know, you bent down to pick something up and he launched the car into somebody? It's pretty scary to think that we were sort of one more mishap away from somebody getting really hurt or even worse. You know, with the damage that it did to the roll cart, had that been a person, that's serious business. That's, you know, long-term disability, that's career ending, that's even worse potentially. So it makes you start to look around and see what other points are you not being safe on. And not just what points are you not being safe on, but what are the other people around you not being safe about too. You know, I try to kind of keep my head down and do my own work and not worry about what everybody else is going on. But you really have to keep your eyes and ears open in the shop and sort of pay attention to what else is going on. That's why I think it's incredibly stupid to wear headphones in the shop while you work. Now, if you want to wear headphones in the shop while you work, that's up to you. but I find it very irresponsible and very unsafe to do. Now, I know there's a few of you out there that say, Charles, I wear headphones every day and I listen to my music at a reasonable volume and I don't ever have a problem. Well, that's okay until you have a problem. Or what if it's not you that has the problem? What if it's someone else, and you don't hear those tires bark, or you don't hear, somebody yelling at you that something's going on. So I really hate when guys wear headphones in the shop. But it makes you stop and think about all these little knick-knacky things that happen in the shop that you never think twice about until something like this. That car that you're walking in front of while they're backing out, or that time where you're walking and you're looking on your phone and not paying attention and somebody's coming around the corner. Or you're the one coming around the corner not paying attention. It really makes me want to tell you guys, just, slow down just a little bit, take a little bit more time, keep your head up a little bit more, and really pay attention to what you're doing and what's going on. I've seen now in my career 3 people that have ended their career due to injuries. One was a shoulder injury. The guy was taking a tire off and it fell and he went to catch it and it pushed his shoulder back like this. He was out for a while, had surgery, had another surgery, and next thing you know, he's no longer a technician. We had one guy with a wire pin tool and he had it in his hand trying to do something with a wire pin, and he jammed the tool right into his hand. He was out for however long and never wound up able to come back. We had another guy that had damage to his hands because, the years and years of stress on the shop. I think that one, I don't know if there was one specific incident that kind of pushed him over the edge, or if it was just the years and years of abuse on his hands. But I've seen a lot, again, 3 guys go out permanently, no more turning wrenches. And actually seen one guy get his arm broken, basically the same thing this tech did running into the toolbox. Guy behind him was working, didn't pump the brakes, threw it in reverse. You can actually get the car in reverse without jamming the pedal all the way to the floor. And he was working about 20 feet behind him. The Torag hit him and pinned him up against the car and, did one of these numbers and broke his arm. He was able to come back after being out for a long time, but still, that was 6-8 weeks, something like that, out with no paycheck. So I'm sure he actually got a paycheck, but you know what I mean? You're not going to make as much money on disability, short-term or long-term, as you would turning wrenches in the shop. So I don't know. It really makes me wonder how many incidents, someone can have before it's a problem. It makes me sort of take a step back a little bit and analyze the way I do things, the situations that I'm in, my situational awareness in the shop and around other technicians. Even though I can work as safe as possible and pay attention 100% of the time, I can't account for the idiot down the block, doing something dumb and running into a toolbox, or, his foot slip off the brake or whatever and hurt somebody. Again, what if somebody was walking between that toolbox and that car at that exact moment? Because we're forever walking between cars and, between toolboxes, behind cars, probably way closer than we should. And, we're always just one weird mishap away from being seriously hurt. I hope you guys take today's show, for what it is and pretty much just, a story that happened in the shop, because I always share this kind of stuff with you guys, as well as, sort of some advice to kind of take a step back and really pay attention to what's going on. Oh, and I mentioned that the toolbox thing happened twice. The other one's actually a bit funnier of a story because I didn't really feel like it was such a big issue with someone getting hurt. Guy was pushing a car from one end of the shop to the other. We had one tech in the car and one guy pushing. The guy pushing was the one that was going to be working on the car, so he was pushing it into his bay. So the one guy's pushing, the one guy's driving, everybody else in the shop's just kind of cheering him on. Yeah, push, 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 because, it's just him pushing. And we see the car go up over the lift. He's still pushing. We see the car get to the lift pad where you stop with the front tires. Everybody kind of quiets down a little bit. And then we see the car go past that lift with no sign of slowing down. And everybody's, stop, stop, stop. And all of a sudden, bang. Car goes into his roll cart, or right, he might have actually just hit his toolbox, right into his snap-on toolbox, and damaged the hood of the car, damaged the grill of the car, and actually wound up ruining the guy's toolbox. So it's the second totaled toolbox that I've seen. The damage to the toolbox on the incident with the brakes this last time, not only did it damage the roll cart, not only did it damage the drawers of the toolbox, it actually buckled the back corner of a Snap-on KRL series toolbox, which, to put it in perspective, is about a $12,000 toolbox. It's about a $1,000 roll cart. He probably would have actually been better off hitting the car behind it. I'm thankful that he didn't, because now we don't have a customer car damage to deal with, and that whole thing with a customer. But in the long run, it would have actually been cheaper. So, it is what it is at this point. Everybody makes mistakes. Hopefully the tech that did this has learned to slow himself down and pay closer attention to what he's doing and not be so irresponsible with what he's doing in the shop. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. If you have any questions or comments, post it in the comments section below. Hey, if you liked the video, throw it a thumbs up on YouTube. You can also subscribe on YouTube or on the blog at humblemechanic.com. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the blog, humblemechanic.com, and obviously on YouTube. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.